Well, what's up, everybody? Welcome to the Brian Wood Leadership Podcast, where we give you the confidence to lead well. This is episode number 7, and I am so excited to share it with you. First off, I want to share just a few things with you. I apologize for the delay in our post from last week. We were just able to get that up. I'm now a few days late. Obviously, the date on the recording is the date it was supposed to go out, but we had some technical difficulties and had some issues. But we got all those fixed, and we are ready to rock. Second, I just want to thank you. I want to thank you for following along. I want to thank you for sharing, for sending encouraging text. I'm not trying to toot my own horn, but I was thinking about how appreciative I am for you guys who watch the show and share it with others. I actually received my first speaking request in regards to leadership from this podcast, and I could not be more excited about it. The first of the year, I'm going to be speaking at an annual training event for a medical facility, and so my nursing background along with the leadership content that I've been putting out are colliding, and I'm excited to be able to give other leaders the confidence to lead well in person. And so, again, I don't say that for myself. I say it to say thank you because of you, because of your engagement, going along this journey, sharing content, allowing it to hit other people's feeds that maybe wouldn't see it otherwise. It means so much to me. And so with that, if you haven't already, make sure you follow our show. Leave us a review. The more reviews we get, the more traction we gain, the more leaders we can reach and give them confidence to lead in their capacity. If you're watching on YouTube, it would mean a lot to me if you would subscribe. We put a lot into the content. We put a lot into producing and editing, and it takes a lot of time. And so it means a lot when someone recognizes that. Again, not for myself, but because we want to give value to you. And when you acknowledge and share and post and comment and leave reviews, it lets us know that it's adding value to your life and giving you confidence to lead in your environment. And so there's not much of an intro today other than the fact that we're going to have some bonus episodes coming up. And so here's what we are going to do as we are in Thanksgiving week. Obviously, if you're watching this now, it is past, but we're posting, if you will, on Thanksgiving week. So happy Thanksgiving, even though I'm late and recording this later than I wanted to. But I'm going to share today my top 6 leadership books of 2022. All right, you guys ready? Let's go. So let's go. 2022, my top 6 leadership books. These were not all written in 2022, but over the course of the year, even maybe the last 2 years actually, there have been a handful of books that have really impacted my leadership and given me confidence to lead in my leadership capacities and environments. And I want to share those with you. And so here's where we're going to go today. I tried to get it down to 5, but I couldn't. I got 6 books. I'm going to share those with you, give you the title, the author, and just a quick little snapshot of what the book looks like for several reasons. Number one, I believe that leaders are readers. I used to hate reading, and I know some of you right now, obviously you're listening to a podcast, so you're like, I am not sitting still to read a book, and that's fine. You can do audio versions if you want, but if you want to grow in your leadership, you have to be consuming content. It doesn't mean that you mimic and do what everybody else is doing, but you take different leadership principles and you apply them to your life, and the way that you gain that other than just the experience is by learning and gleaning information from other leaders. And so that's what I want to do today. And then instead of releasing content on the first and third Monday of this month and into December, I'm actually going to release content every week through the beginning of the year. And so I'm going to give you an overview of all 6 books today. And then each week after that, we are going to break down each of those books, okay? And what I mean by breaking those books down is not I'm going to give you a full book review and we're going to dive into all the details and you're going to be able to write a paper on the book. The goal is that I'm going to pull several leadership principles that I think are super relevant and applicable to you and to our audience, and challenge you with the topic from that book and those leadership principles. So I don't want you to think, again, that it's just a book review. The content is going to be hopefully just as valuable and as solid as it has been, but I think that it will help us kind of focus on specific areas and give you some bonus episodes over the holidays as we get ready to kick off a new year. All right. So book number 1, if you're on video, you'll see this. I have it in my hand. I'm going to show you each book. I'm going to do these in order of the episodes and the shows that are coming, okay? So next week's episode is going to be on book number 1, and it is called Chasing Failure by Pastor Ryan Leake. Okay, I met him at a conference last year, bought his book, and actually put it on my shelf for a while because I had some other books to read, but ended up reading it this past summer. And it really changed my perspective on a lot of things. And so just a quick little snippet on this. When you think about failure, nobody wants to chase failure. Nobody wakes up and says, I can't wait to fail today, right? We all think about success, success, success. But what this book teaches is how failure actually leads to success. The tagline is how falling short sets you up for success. And Ryan, the writer of this book, he talks about how his failures in life, how he began to wake up and chase things that he knew he was most likely going to fail at, shaped him and molded him into the man that he is today. And so I think many of us as leaders, we miss out on taking the next step and reaching the next level of potential in our leadership because we are afraid to fail. And so this was an incredible book. It helped me to learn how to take risk, to not be afraid of failure, to not view myself as a weak or defeated leader if I did fail, but to understand that through failure, there's learning, there's learning curves, there's adaptability, and there's things that you learn through those experiences that will send you to the next level of leadership and give you confidence to lead well. There's nothing like learning a hard lesson by falling on your face. You'll never do it again. At least you'll try not to, and it'll shape you in some incredible ways. The second book is by Wayne Cordeiro called Leading on Empty. Now, this book I think is probably relevant to a lot of you guys. It's been a crazy couple of years, and I know many leaders, many of my friends, many pastors who are burned out. They're leading on empty. How do you do that? If you think about a car, you can only go so far until it runs out of gas. What do you do then, right? Are you pushing it on the side of the road? Are you walking to the store to get a gas can? Are you hitching a ride? Like, how do you keep going? And how does that, cross over to our leadership? How can you lead on empty? Now, the book doesn't say stay there. It doesn't want you to continue leading on empty, but it gives some very practical steps on how to refill your tank and renew your passion. That's the tagline. How do I push through this season that I'm in where I feel burned out? How do I push through this season where I feel empty? And how do I lead well through that? And I think that that is exactly where a lot of you are right now. You're empty, you're tired, you're weary, you're burdened. And oftentimes the first thing to go is our level of leadership. We drop off, we forget things, we neglect things because we have nothing else to give. And so that's a great book. I can't wait to talk about that one. And it leads into book number 3, Horst Schulze, Excellence Wins. Excellence Wins. Now, this book, if you don't know who Horst Schulze is, I hope I'm saying his name right. He's the co-founder of the Ritz-Carlton. And this might be my top 3, maybe top 5 books of all time. He talks a lot about how to be the best in regards to excellence. And he goes into a lot of the small details that the hotels utilize to make their guests feel like they're the VIP, and just all the things that are often overlooked, that organizations that you would say are doing well and are healthy, but are not doing everything with excellence. Is how to get to that next level. And so you can look at what it looks like in your leadership, whether it's in an organization, whether it's in your home or whatever environment it may be. And how to do everything with excellence, because excellence wins. That's another one that I'm super excited to dive into. Number 4, and I was torn between 2 books with this one. And I'm going to share this one. I'll actually give you a reference for the other, so maybe we'll have 7 books, but I don't have a hard copy. This one's by Mark Batterson called Chase the Lion. And the tagline is, if your dream doesn't scare you, it's too small. Listen, if you are a leader and you are not dreaming, you are missing out on a lot of what you could do. Dreaming is big, and I think that there's a stigma around dreaming that you're living in some fairy tale land. But dreaming is vision, and you dream for the future, and you think big, and you dream big, and you plan big, and you chase big, and you go after that. And so often we get comfortable, complacent, and we just stick to what we know, and we never dream outside of our comfort zone. And so if your dream doesn't scare you, it's too small. The other book, and I don't even remember the name of it actually, but it's by Bob Goff. I think it's called Dream Big actually. That's another great book on dreaming. And I was so challenged by my thought process, my mindset on how my dreams were only the level of what I could understand and comprehend. If you want to take your leadership to the next level, start dreaming big and put some strategy behind it. Number 5, is The Speed of Trust by Stephen Covey. Now, I actually referenced this book in a previous episode. I think it was episode number 3 or 4, called, I don't even remember the name of it, but it was about trust. We talked about how trust is given, not earned. That's the perspective and philosophy that I have. But the tagline here is the one thing that changes everything. And it talks a lot about how do you build trust with your employees, with the people that you lead, with the people who are your direct reports, those who are under you. The speed of trust impacts the speed of production. And so the more and the quicker and the more efficient and effective you can trust someone, the more quality you're going to get out of them. And so it's our responsibility as leaders to give trust to the people that we're leading as quickly as possible, because it is the one thing that can change everything. And book number 6, you probably heard of this one if you're in leadership at all, is by Jim Collins. He's 5 million copies of this book has been sold at the time of this copy that I have in my hand, and it's called Good to Great. And it talks a lot about how a lot of companies are good, but many of them choose not to take the leap into being great. And the first section of that book, and again, we're going to dive into these in detail in the weeks to come, but it talks about how good is the enemy of great. When things are good, why do we need to change anything? But he talks a lot about level 5 leadership. How do you push even further? How do you not just be good? How do you become great? I was actually listening to a podcast just this morning, and it was talking about all the current events, if you will, probably not the right choice of terms, but how our society has shifted over the years. And he said the new 3-letter word that leads to success, TRY, try. And he was talking about how it's not very hard to stand out anymore because people just quit trying. All you have to do is try, and you can stand out and you can become great. Now, I don't want to oversimplify that because going from good to great is not that easy. It is very challenging, but in today's society, there's a lot of organizations and a lot of levels of leadership that is just mediocre, and people are okay with that. And if you want to excel in your leadership, if you want your organization, your church, your family, your kids to grow and to be above, to the next level, not that anybody is better than, you go from good to great. And I believe that you'll find value in that. And so those are my top 6 leadership books. I would encourage you to read those. I don't get any money if you buy them, so I don't have any links in the show notes or anything. You can find them wherever you normally purchase your books from. But I would encourage you to read those books, to read all 6. But as we get ready to break them down in the weeks ahead, I think that you'll be able to find which book is for me right now. I have a stack of books that I put in order, and sometimes the order gets changed because of what's happening in my life. And I'll say, no, I need to focus on this topic right now. I need to focus on this, this subject or whatever it may be in my level of leadership. But leaders are readers. And so I know that this episode was different, but I know that I've found value from leaders that I follow by sharing their book preferences. There's actually 2 or 3 guys that if I'm ever listening to any of their shows and they mention a book, I buy it before the show is even over, just because I love their leadership. And if they say a book is good, I know that it's good, and I know it's going to add value to my level of leadership and give me the confidence to lead well. And so I'm excited. We're going to be releasing Chasing Failure, the first one, next week. And so make sure you tune in, follow, join, share, comment, whatever you can do. I'm excited about this. We're going to have an episode every week, as I've said. I'm going to give you challenge questions. I'm going to give you some application from each book, and I'm going to hopefully give you some confidence in each of those areas from each book to give you the confidence to lead well. And so, again, thank you so much for following along. Looking forward to being with you in the weeks ahead, and I hope that you will tune in. I'll see you soon.